Thank you. This is coming back again to you live on Radio Voice of Naija, transmitting today on 105.2 MHz and 103.8 cable. Back to this topic on FGM and the support that can be given to women who are living with the effects of FGM. Now, how can men show support and understanding for women who have been through FGM trauma? Mr. Yusuf.
Yeah, I think this trauma goes a long way, and I think as a man, when you are in love with a woman who is going through this traumatic effect, I think you need to be very patient and loving and try to understand her perspective.
Yeah.
And here in the Netherlands, I believe we have established offices. Government has established offices where we call it the victim support.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go there, and they are actually professionals. Professionals, I mean, who can help, and who can counsel both of you, and then I think that will be very nice. We believe that FGM is domestic violence.
Yeah.
So we have an office here known as SHG, that is Stichting Huiselijk Geweld. It is attached to the gemeente Amsterdam. Yeah, so when you go there and you present your case, they give you the best help that you need. They will counsel you, and you know, a woman is very sad that you are in love with a woman and she has this type of traumatic effects, which was not due to you. Yeah, and it's beginning to hurt your relationship.
Yeah.
Yes, but if as a man you understood that this girl underwent this kind of treatment, at the time she had no choice. I hope that as a man, just take her for who she is, try to understand what she's going through, and be very supportive.
Wow.
Yeah, because leaving her alone to deal with it will not help. Just try to stand by. It's all I have to say. And if you don't have any clue as to what to do, please do contact the SHG of gemeente Amsterdam.
Wow.
We have all the GGD.
The
GGD Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's true.
They have professionals there. Yes.
What about FSAM?
I believe she's also there. And also in Utrecht there is an organization known as the Pharaohs.
Okay.
Yeah, they are also there.
Yeah.
And they help a lot.
Okay.
So we have professionals. They went to Africa, they stayed in Africa, they lived with women who were genitally mutilated, they studied the effects, and some of them came back here as doctors, and they are ready to help.
Wow.
They are ready to help. Yeah. Don't be ashamed, because you are not alone.
Do you think people's lives or victims' lives are so much affected by the trauma that they go through this?
Yes, definitely you are affected. Once part of your body is lost, and that kind of a feeling, which everybody has that you don't have, it will always haunt you. And,
does it also affect their participation in the society? Because maybe they will be feeling inferior.
No, some women feel left out, and that is why I'm saying that it's good to take up counseling, so that because when we talk of traumatic effects used to sideline a person, and if you are not strong, you remain locked up in the room. You not even like to come out, and that is the effect it affects your economy, it affects everything
Yes, it's true.
that you do. I know some women back at home that before they were very industrious, and when that symptom generates, then they stay at home and you know. So
I think it's affecting them because sometimes, you know, even as a woman, sometimes when I have some shows, you know, information night, you invite some women to come, and then some of them will just give me some kind of reasons that they wouldn't want to they wouldn't want to participate, in the sense that they would want to use the WC, and when they go to the WC, those who are not circumcised, the women who were not mutilated or who didn't have this cut, they can easily urinate, and they who have this cut can easily as well cannot easily be you know, urinate. And then already when they are coming out, they are feeling shy, that they are thinking that the other person who used the other restroom is already knowing that they are not you know, because
there's a stigma behind.
Yeah, the stigma is too much, and then it's only many of them not even come out to participate in issues.
My advice to them is that that effect has come to stay, and it will stay for the rest of their life. So they shouldn't be too sad about it, even though it affects them, and learn to go on with life. And accept back who they are. Accept back who they are. That's what, when I was talking to a lady in Ghana about what kind of advice do you give to those people. I went to the victim support unit in Ghana.
Yeah.
And I talked to a lady, I don't want to mention the name here because it's unofficial. And she told me the best thing they tell the ladies is to be who they are, and not let that part of the situation let them down or drown them. They should just continue to be who they are, despite the fact that it's going to leave, that scar is going to live with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
But if they learn to be who they are, I think they'll come out successfully and nicely.
Yes, you know, recently in Britain, families, there's a family that decided to leave back Britain down to Africa because they had done this, the grandma had done this mutilation on their child, and when the girl goes to school, the other children are just nosing around and saying, why is it that when you are urinating, it makes a kind of noise? So have you done this? So in fear now, they have migrated back to Africa.
Yeah, definitely.
So the opportunity the child would have had to have good education and a better life is short-lived now.
Yeah.
Except God comes in.
That is why anytime I think you have to use your media here so much to enforce or educate people about the harms, and also let them understand that the state of Netherlands does not permit it, and whoever does it goes to prison for 14 years.
Wow.
14 years.
14 solid years.
Both father and mother, you are going 14 years, and any accomplice will have his own share of the imprisonment.
Yes, somebody said it's your words. Okay.
Now, how does a woman who is a victim of FGM living with a man, that's why the question should be, how is the man affected by when he's living with a woman who is a victim of FGM? And also because we want to understand how the man can support the woman better.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know, first of all, how is the man affected? Can you tell us something about that briefly?
Is it affected sexually or affected
how?
In all dimensions, how is it?
There are a lot of things that can affect the man. If the woman have a traumatic feeling about what happened to her. That can easily make an impact on the life of the man. And that is why I'm saying seek victim support. And there is also a problem. It's just like when you go to your car in the morning on a freezing cold night, and then you put in your ignition, and then you want to ignite the car, and it is not quick starting. I think you as a driver, you have a problem. You have to continue quick starting until the battery gets charged before you move. So I think this happens sometimes with the men who have a lady who underwent this type of genital mutilation. Because talking about it, we don't have to hide anything.
At all.
The pharaonic type of genital mutilation, where they take out everything and sew everything back and leave just a small pinhole for Okay. Now, right now, it is going to be a battle in bed when it comes to penetration. So that is very hurtful to the woman and to the man as well, because at that time, I think your engines are running very fast.
Exactly.
So
you cannot penetrate.
So that question, I mean, happens a lot, and I don't think any man
want that.
They are accepting it just by obeying the tradition, and I think it's about time.
Then probably that could also, permit me to say this, that could also be the reason why then they end up having so many wives, because they are trying this, then it's not possible to penetrate, then they are going to another one until they find the one that is a little bit looser than the other one, probably.
I don't think polygamy is accepted in many cultures, and religion also allows polygamy. That have to do with human desire. So it is not about the FGM that makes men to go after more women.
No, I'm just saying that it can be one of the factors as well, because you are the man.
It's not a factor.
Two men are asking one woman, or two men are versus one woman.
I just want to let you know that as for men, it's just like having a coat. Like Mr. Larry has a black coat, but when you go back to his wardrobe again, you still see another black coat. He doesn't. He's not satisfied with
what he has.
So that is one thing, and the others also play a role. So as for polygamy, it is accepted in some religions.
Okay, what's your final take now on this topic? What's your final take, sir, on this topic? My final take here is to advise parents never to put their children under the blade for the sake of preparing them or whatsoever. It is a dangerous act. It is unhealthy, and the consequences outweigh what they think they were doing it for. So they should just stop it and stop it for good. And the law of the state here in Netherlands does not allow it, so please don't do it. And to the men who happens to have women having that situation, please be very passionate and understand them and treat them as equals. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. And those of you who have listened to this broadcast, we encourage that you obey to some of the things we've discussed. Support the women who have become victims of this FGM, and if they have not yet become, please give them the chance to enjoy their life to the fullness. Don't take them to any local or rural place where they have to be caught. Thank you so much, and we have to be with you again. We are signing up now, but remain blessed till next week by the same time. This issue with us today is an FGM ambassador, Mr. Oro Yusuf. Also, he is the vice chairman of Wadata Foundation here in the Netherlands, Amsterdam, Netherlands. Welcome to Radio Voice of Niger, Mr. Oro Yusuf.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, I believe our fans are eagerly waiting to hear your voice again.
Okay. We will do our best.
You know, this topic is very interesting. So I love it that a man can come out boldly to stand with women and to talk about this interesting topic. So can you please tell our listeners your experience with FGM and on what qualifies you to become elected as an ambassador?
I had a traumatic experience about FGM since I was a kid back in Africa, when a very beautiful young lady,
Yeah.
genital parts were mutilated and she bled to death.
Wow.
And that gave me a kind of traumatic effect. And then coming here in the Netherlands and becoming a member of a foundation, I decided to join the crusade against that attitude.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
Really?
And we had a lot of training. We were trained by FSAN. Came out as key persons, and basically.
So FSAN is a federation of
Somalis associations in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the onset of FGM, because that is where it was more rampant.
Okay.
So they were spearheading the campaign.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of us got trained under their umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how we came to become the key persons.
But you are not from Somalia?
I'm not from Somalia.
Wow. And the experience took place in the experience you witnessed took place
in the Volta region of Ghana.
Oh,
Really?
Volta region?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, my husband is from the Volta region.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
You are from Volta region.
So no problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that left behind such a deep trauma.
A kind of scar, because that beautiful lady happens to be a fiancée of my brother. So it left a deep scar on me, and I think
So was
in the initial stage,
yes,
people try to associate FGM with religion and so on and so forth. And me growing up as a Muslim,
yes,
I happened to go into details and ask a lot of clerics whether FGM is really associated with religion, and the answer was no. It is a culture thing. It is a culture thing.
and not
a religion.
A religion thing.
No.
It's a culture thing.
Yeah, it's a culture
from your
thing.
experience.
Yes. It's
Or
a
from
culture
your
thing. From both angles, answers that I got.
yeah.
Yeah, there is no verse that says that women's
Should be
no.
be circumcised.
No.
Yeah. Also in the Bible,
Yeah.
it was only the males that were circumcised,
Yeah.
not the.
Yeah.
So in Quran it's the same too.
Yeah, it's just the same.
Wow.
It's just the same.
So it's a culture thing.
It is. It is really a culture thing. It is really a culture thing. Yeah, because when you make statistics, we have a lot of Islamic states in the world, and they don't practice it. They don't. So if it's a religious thing, why don't they practice it?
Exactly.
So that is where you find out that the answer of culture comes in first, because we know FGM first started in somewhere around Egypt, and so on, and then it spread to places like Ethiopia, Somalia, and then finally dashing down to the West Africa.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the West Africa, there are a lot of tribes
Mm-hmm.
that are not Muslims, but they are also performing the FGM. That's
Wow.
why I say it's a culture thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you don't associate that to religion.
At all.
It's
At
a
all.
culture thing.
Okay, so we are going to look at this different perspectives of the effect of FGM on women or those who have been caught.
Yeah.
So, what sort of impact does FGM have on the sexuality of its victim? Does it make them feel less of a woman, or do you have any idea?
Yeah, number one, we ask ourselves, what is the motive for the performance of FGM? It's just to reduce that kind of sexual libido of the woman.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the motive. So any woman that undergoes FGM has definitely got some kind of shortcoming in her sexual feeling.
Oh, yes.
That is very true about it. So I feel personally that some part of her has been taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and that is it. She has to live with it for the rest of her life, and that is where the problem is. Some women can deal with it.
Yeah.
Some women cannot deal with it, and I think we as a community around, having understood that this is a weird act, and these people are undergoing a kind of traumatic effects, we have to, rally around.
Yes.
And give the necessary support. I think, and that is what should be done.
Yes, but what baffles me is why they would a culture would pose it on people to cut off the sexual part of the organ that actually would make the woman to enjoy sexual intercourse. And yet, culture is demanding that she produces kids and all of that.
Yeah.
Because, in some of the cultures, when you don't even have a child of your own, the way they look on you,
Yeah.
So what is behind this whole thing?
When I dig into my culture, because basically I happen to come from the Volta Belt.
Okay.
That is part of Togo.
Okay.
And part of the present-day Volta regime in Ghana. And what happens is that our culture, sometimes we believe that a woman goes to the house of her husband virgin. So to reduce the effect of young girls having sex before marriage,
yes,
that is when they introduce this kind of thing to reduce the sexual feeling of a girl.
Again, but
So-
not that of a man.
Oh no.
In other words, a man is free to just have anything. But
You've said it already.
wow, this is very inhuman.
Well, in those days when you use that word, they will never understand it. But coming to the modern era,
Yeah.
and then we seeing that does not help. So that led to this type of transformation. And to be frank, my tribe,
Yes.
they don't do it anymore. I was back at home
Yes.
about 4 weeks ago,
Okay.
and I did also my research,
Yeah.
asked a lot of questions,
Yeah.
and they don't do it anymore. So you see, education has worked.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
education has worked, and they made to understand that is the treatment or the kind of attention or the education that you give to the girl child that will help her abstain or protect herself.
But
It's not just by mutilating sexual parts.
yeah, I think this is just a mindset because, look, in the African context, let's take it from that side because I don't know of many others. But if we look at some of the countries you made mention of, and that have been practicing FGM, and from where it even all began, people are having so many wives, but you don't see women having so many husbands. I mean, having them at a stretch, because a man, like sometimes from Nigeria, you will even see a man who have about 3 wives or 4 wives, and then all of these women, from those who have been mutilated and those who are not mutilated, they are just staying there, and the man keeps just going and having so many. So it's the man really that really, if there's anybody to be caught, it has to be the man and not the woman. The man maybe have to be caught even extra.
We are trying to enter the judicial aspect of this issue, and
Oh my
well,
God.
I quite agree with you because you are a woman, so you speak at the woman's point of view. I understand that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So from the let's look at this other aspect, the health aspect of FGM on women and their effect. Yeah. So how do victims fare health? How do they fare health-wise after having been genitally mutilated?
Yeah, FGM have got its side effects a lot.
Because the one you witnessed.
Apart from that physical pain and so on and so forth, it leaves a lot of scars behind, and one that is very difficult and untreatable is the psychological effect it leaves on the baby girl for the rest of her life.
Yes.
That psychological effect, because any physical wound and so on heals.
Yeah.
But that psychological effect in the brain doesn't go so easily. And
yes.
Because part of her has been taken away. So,
but the one that you witnessed, Mr. Oro, the one you witnessed, you told us that you saw the person bled to death, is that?
Yeah.
All right. So this wasn't
and of late, even don't go too far about mine, because that was about 30 to 40 years ago. Of late, about some few months, a doctor was arrested in Egypt.
Jesus.
Yeah, trying to operate on the genitals of a lady that also bled to death in Egypt of late.
Yes.
Not too long.
Really?
Yeah, not too long. I think about a month or 6 weeks ago. Something like that happened in Egypt as well. So you can see that old traditions die very hard.
Jesus.
That a qualified doctor will, in this situation of education, still be strong enough to go and perform this. And now I think he might have lost his medical license, and he will definitely rot in jail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, we also came in contact with a lady actually who also is fighting against these laws on genital mutilation, because she feels that in their own culture, they are not allowed. They are not being caught. They are not practicing this mutilation. So that she is saying, contrary to what we are protesting, she's saying that she thinks a law have to be made so that if you are matured and if you are grown up and you feel you want to do costly, you want to do what do you call it?
FGM?
No, you want to have some treatment at that area of your body.
Yeah.
That you must be allowed to cut it. You must be allowed, because because of the fact that she was not circumcised, then she's not able to wear her bikini pants and all of those things because she saw that her own is growing so much. So she's thinking that even because it is a law here, you are not allowed to touch that area. She thinks that it has to be something like people have to do this makeup, that just, you know, when doctors give you, please borrow me a word, eh?
Cosmetic?
Yes, surgery, you know, on that area. So she's saying, but because it's like a taboo, it's a taboo. So once you want to talk and tell even a doctor that you will want that side to be called, the doctor is already looking at you like somebody who is insane. So she thinks a law have to be made so that people can choose to do it by themselves.
Well, I think there is scientific law. There is, if that part is disturbing.
Yeah.
If that part is really disturbing, because I think I came across something like that with certain women, that part which is being called overgrowth.
Yeah.
And when it is overgrowing, there is that tendency of it becoming a nuisance.
Exactly.
So with that, scientifically, the doctors can jump in and help.
But they're not doing it.
Because that is an exception.
They're not doing it here. So this lady has been protesting against that.
No, I think worldwide there is an exception to that. Anything that is disturbing, very disturbing, there is an exception. And I think even here, if the doctors go into it and found out that it is life-threatening for that person, I think they will jump in and help her.
Well, she lives here, and she has been protesting against it, and she will want that something is being done, because actually she has come on the air. She has come openly on the air, and she spoke about it.
She has to prove to the medical doctors how threatening that is to her.
It's not about threatening, it's about making her feel comfortable. She's not feeling comfortable because she thinks that the thing has overgrown.
Yeah, that is the point.
Wow.
So let the doctors understand.
Well, somebody who wants to ask a question.
But generally, I think that people go and do breast augmentation and liposuction and other things.
Yeah.
So the same applies to that as well. So once she's a grown-up, she can do that. Nothing hinders her, I think.
Yeah, that is what I have come across. I have come across it that the law allows if it is overgrowing, because to every human nature there are always exceptions. So some women have theirs overgrowing the normal point, that it becomes a disturbance, or let me use the word discomfort to the woman herself. So at that age of maturity,
yes,
she can just ask for a medical assistance, and that shouldn't be a problem. The doctors are also trained to understand that situation that she is going through is disturbing. Yes.
Well, I wouldn't speak much further on that issue, but I know that she lives here and she's a nurse and she would want to do that, but it's like she has been finding it very, very difficult, and that's why she brought it to the air, so that people people should know that there are specific women who are also living under such a condition, and they will want it to be trained, but because of certain laws about this whole thing, it's like they are not even allowed. So, but we are talking today about those who were subjected to have it, maybe from childhood.
Yeah.
So they couldn't make decisions.
They couldn't make a choice. They have no choice, just to obey the laws of the tradition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let me read something here from an article. It says, female genital mutilation has detrimental effects on the physical and psychological health of the infant, girls, children, and women operated. Do you believe to that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Here is another quote. Increasing access to education is another key strategy because educated women are less likely to allow their daughters to be caught. So how do you think an FGM victim is affected in her education?
Yeah, I think in those days the culture overrules education. So people do it and it becomes even a stigma within the society to girls that didn't have their parts cut. Then they become isolated in the society, they talk rubbish about them, and so on and so forth. But with education coming in force now, and people understanding the detrimental effects of the FGM, so that has led to, like I told you, my tribe, they don't do it again, and I think it's because of education. Yeah, but it took a long time, and as at now, I think governments are also responding so much that that has put that kind of culture behind the scenes. It's rather unfortunate. The last time I was reading an article, and I see that people travel now to the remotest part of Burkina Faso to go and perform.
The FGM.
Yes, because the laws are very stringent now, and for the fear they go to the remotest part in the forest area.
Really? So that means they are still looking for a way to...
I mean, all traditions die very hard. It dies very hard, but it is dying, but it dies very hard. So I cannot say. So
who do you think really must be educated in this whole thing? Is it shouldn't be the parents, I mean the father of this the victims, or should it be their mothers?
I think at one time we talk about
because it's like if I mean me to say this, it's like the fathers are really pushing for this thing because mothers know already what they've been through. They know the effect of it in their sexual life. So no mother would actually want the child to be circumcised at this 21st century. So I think the fathers are the ones who are still pushing.
And if you ask me this question, then I'll put it on a broad table, and then you see what in the beginning, FGM. What is the motive? What preparation are they doing? They are preparing the girl child. Towards a happy marital home for the man. So if we men, that's the last time I came to this studio and we talk about FGM being a man's business. If we men stand against it now, that we don't want our ladies' part to be taken off, that will also help, because the culture is preparing the girl
for
the men. So if the men don't accept that practice anymore, I think
you're making a very good point.
I think that will help to go a long way.
So if I may ask you, as an ambassador of FGM, then are you tailoring your campaigns towards fellow men like yourself, so that, because I believe having such an office under FGM, you then have to mobilize, direct some of your campaigns to getting men and talking with men, talking with fathers, telling them just what you just said now.
That's what I'm saying, and that is the real.
And what response are you getting?
That is the real concern now. That is the real concern now. It's a real concern, and.
Have you begun it, or you are just speaking it from here?
We are doing it always.
But what response are you getting? Because I am sure you have been in this business for a long time. What response are you getting?
Education.
No, I mean from the men, some of the men you've spoken to.
I think it is positive, because when I went back even to my community, and I always speak of my community because,
Do you mean your community?
Back at home.
But
back at home.
What about here?
And here also.
Okay.
It's the men. We, the men, organize all the time the forums for FGM. And last year we did the same thing in June. And we don't know this year whether we'll do the same. We always call the attention of parents when it is time for vacation.
Yeah.
And we know a lot of them are going to travel back
Yeah.
to their country. So we try to share flyers and we try to make them understand the law of the Netherlands, so that you don't go and come back and end up in a prison.
Yes.
Here. So we always call their attention to that. And I think I'm using your radio now to call their attention to whoever is listening.
Yes.
Please, the law of the state does not permit it, so don't do it.
Don't take a child to...
Don't take your child down home and go and do it, because when the child comes back here, there is that periodic checks that the child undergoes here, because she's growing up here, and they will surely find it out. And when they find it out, you, the parent, have trouble.
Yes.
Even the mother that traveled have trouble, and the father also have trouble. Wow. So you don't do it.
I wish they can intensify this sort of campaign or this sort of law also towards the African countries.
Yeah.
You know, and other parts of the world. I believe if the African countries, we are talking from, because we are from there, if we will start from there, our government begin to pass on some laws to effect this.
I think the laws are working.
Because you just made mention of Burkina Faso.
The laws are working. That's why they go to the remotest part where the chains of the law, cannot reach there.
No. If the law is effective, I believe that no matter the remotest part that people may be in, they will still somehow trace them.
I know, but believe me, you and I know the infrastructure in Africa. Yeah, there are certain remotest parts whereby even a motorbike cannot reach there. That's what I'm saying now. A motorbike cannot go, so they go by foot.
Wow.
Yes, and go and stay there in a village of about 30 people, you know,
yes.
And do whatever they want and then come back. So you understand what I'm saying? So it's not that the law is not working. When you go to Ghana, we have this Office of the Domestic Violence. You go to Nigeria, we have Office of the Domestic Violence.
Yes.
You go to Togo now, they are more serious even than Ghana and Nigeria. You reach Benin, they are also very serious about it. Even in Burkina Faso, I know one actor known as Ouedraogo. He always makes films and educate people at the local level about the effects of FGM. So they are also very serious. But the infrastructure, the infrastructure is blocking part. You can go to a village, some kind of village somewhere, and even a wireless set you cannot find in that village. So how do they get information? Yeah, so that is the system. So when we talk of back home, you have to understand it's not just like here where we are speaking now and it is being spread everywhere to as far as behind the borders. But so it will die very soon. FGM will go slowly, but the speed at which we want is maybe what we will not get. So we are appealing to the governments and the organizations to continue subsidizing our efforts so that we can go as much as we can towards the battle against FGM. Because it's still happening. It's not that it's not happening, it's still happening.
I believe that also that the young men have a part to play.
Yes, definitely.
The young men have a part, because these girls they are preparing are not for the old men, they are for the young men.
Yes.
So if the young men can as well begin to use every means to pass this message on, their fathers will listen. It's like using the music. You know, if they begin to sing, bring out songs that have to do with stop FGM, and you are making my life miserable, or making the life of my potential wife miserable. I believe, songs really say a lot. You see?
That
So what we
is-
cannot reach through religion or whatever, we can as well use the young artists,
Yeah.
use music
And
to
that is-
effect that change.
That is the tradition we are trying to break, because back at home, you and I know that talking about sex is a kind of taboo back at home. But
Well,
now that chain
It has changed.
is being broken.
Yes.
I mean, culture is such that we have diehards.
Mm.
They want they withheld to the culture, and they don't want to release it.
Mhm.
So those are the people we are appealing to now, to
Yeah.
have a kind of soft heart, and let's get things done the way it should be. Yeah, because that's what we are saying. If the woman happens to have that part, which is a complete discomfort to her, she will get help.
Yes.
She will get help, and that is an exceptional case.
Exactly. Exactly.
But don't mutilate her
Yeah.
for the fact that
You
you
want
want her to
sexual
be
enjoyment for
sexually
yourself. For yourself or for your son.
Yeah, that is not okay.
Well, somebody out there listening to us, this is coming to you live from Radio Voice of Naija. You may feel free to give us a call on the studio line. It is 027 371 619. The ambassador of FGM, Mr. Adro Yusuf, is in the studio, and he will be happy to get your calls and respond to some of your critical questions. Meanwhile, we're going to take a short break, and hope that you will still take that opportunity to call us, and let's hear your voice on this matter. Are you a woman? Are you a mother? And you feel that this is a very, very ungodly, and it is not just? Please let your voice be heard on this issue. Thank you.